Two unemployed actors, two unemployed actors. They're just between projects.
Hello, I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
We are Two Unemployed Actors, and a big show for you today, so keep listening.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about, I had a Q&A with some producers who produce reality TV content. Some interesting tidbits. Hey, at least this production's still running, even though it's not scripted. And
Well, it's the most fictional one out there.
and also corporate gigs, some feedback after my first visit to set, inverted commas, since Christmas, since
Very
lockdown.
cool.
So it almost feels real.
Awesome.
So, yes.
Very nice.
My
Yeah.
energy level just went from high 100 to like 20.
Well,
what happened?
I've got stuff to talk about.
Good.
Which is always good for a podcast. But yeah, that thing I spoke about last week about that shoot that I was asked to do for a motivational
Yes.
video, I did, and that was a lot of fun. So I'll chat about that a bit. Also got something else coming up. Yeah, that's about it, and we're working along.
and your
to
best
keep
listening
But
face.
it feels like everything is starting to pick up again. There's a lot more auditions coming up on StarNow.
It's
A lot
good,
more
isn't it?
talking.
Yeah.
My agent I've been chatting to. He said, everything's speeding up a bit, so hopefully more stuff coming for you. And
It's
bunch
great,
of
isn't it?
stuff.
And see, so we've been keeping work fit as much as we can.
Yeah.
So when the opportunities come up, we're not like trying to ramp up
Yeah.
and refine stuff. We're ready to rock and roll.
mm-hmm.
Send the opportunities our way. That
Please.
was a legitimate call.
Yep.
Anything.
Help. Call for help.
Come on, we're hustling.
Yeah.
We're hustling. We're
Yeah.
upcoming actors. We've got to hustle.
Got to hustle. 100% got to hustle.
So I was speaking
Don't
to,
fall off
when I
the
say I was speaking to, there was a Q&A organised by AFTers on Facebook Live. Anyone can join in.
Okay, very cool.
Look, there's about 40 of us. A couple of reality producers. Janine Cooper, who produces The Masked Singer in Australia.
Oh, very cool. That's reasonably new show in Australia.
It is. And Kathy
Yeah.
Scott, Dancing with the Stars, for example. And between them, like things like MasterChef and all that. Basically, if there's a big franchise, they're tagged to it, including back to the days where they were doing the original, Big Brother and stuff. So they've been in the biz for a while.
Very cool.
It was just really interesting, like what's involved from a producer level. Like you can imagine when you're in the studio and you've got so many camera angles and it's all live and it's a 24-hour turnaround, like just referencing Big Brother, for example.
Yeah.
And you just got to make these calls so quick on what's going to work, what's not going to work.
Have to be experienced.
Exactly. And it particularly helps that they had the right talent on stage in Gretel Colleen, who they liked because her ability to like if something went wrong, it's like you've got 2 minutes to fill. Fine, she could do it and just adapt to it. Like you'd think it was planned just watching.
Very cool.
Which helps so much. I think it was really interesting to know just a bit more about what happens behind the scenes and all the skill of the crew, etc. I think probably the most perfect show for COVID-19 is The Masked Singer. I mean,
You reckon?
yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And they were talking about how they have to go to such
They
great...
don't reveal who they are. They have to
No.
keep the mask on.
Yeah,
because of COVID.
Well, what they do, because they have to go to extreme lengths to keep them isolated from each other as well during rehearsals and stuff.
Yeah.
As well as shooting. And no, they don't just walk around with that mask on the whole time.
I was going to ask.
Basically, they're assigned a personal person who's just their person.
Personal person.
Probably not the right term. And
It's a new one. I like it, though.
It's a critical job because if it leaks out as to who the identity might be. So basically, they go pick them up and then they put on the little hoodie as they come into the studio lot. And then they're escorted directly to their green room, and that is their room. They stay there. And of course, the talent we're used to going and socializing behind the scenes, having great chats and all sorts of stuff.
Do that right now, can you?
No, so they're in their own zone because they can't interact because no one is allowed to know who's who.
Yeah, right.
It's that sort of secrety. And then on stage, as they come on with the hood on or the mask on, depending on what they're shooting, like things like the crew can't ask them questions.
Yeah.
They're told not to because if they answer, you can
So
help
no
identify
one
who they are.
knows. No one knows.
No,
except for the producers and this personal person.
So the crew can't sort of say, "Oh, do you want a coffee?" or
You need
how
the
can
voice
I-
changer. Those voice changer things. Yeah.
If only Mission Impossible was real life. But
Yeah, those microphones like you distort the voice and that's how you answer back. Or the personal person can answer
the
back.
personal person, but then how are they going to tell the personal person in front of other people?
No, you get like they go to the room and they leave and then go back. And then it's like a PA.
So we're experiencing some logistical issues that have to be overcome to make good content. But anyway,
yeah, no, that's hard, right?
I just thought like it was really interesting.
I mean, that's like even when the masks, like when there's no COVID for the mask singer.
That's right.
You
That's
need
the same
that
logistics.
security.
Exactly.
Because
if it gets out, it ruins the whole thing.
If it gets out, it's like, what's the point of the show?
Exactly.
It's just the voice with celebrities.
And I think it was really interesting, just the logistics got to go because we're talking a lot of money. I mean, like Ninja Warrior, I know is around $30 million to put on, and there's $150 million tied to that in terms of advertising revenue, etc.
Right. Wow.
Like these are huge franchises. So it was quite interesting, like things like how tied are you to the original format? Because sometimes, like, look at Top Gear, British format, and then when they did the Australian, one of the producers was working on the Australian one. They were not allowed to deviate at all. Okay. It was exactly to the format of the British show. Do not deviate. 3 hosts, same segments. You know, it's just basically Top Gear with an Australian accent. And then yet with others, they're able to put like the first season, if it isn't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah.
You've got to do the format that you know works.
Yeah.
And then the second season, you can sort of stamp your own sort of, you know, you can sort of shape it a little bit more to the local audience.
Yeah, sure.
And what sort of has worked here. So it's kind of good without sort of losing track of the original franchise, obviously, because you're certainly paying a packet for that, for the rights to that. So I thought that was quite interesting. I mean, not hugely related to what I do, but it was just interesting. And these opportunities are still out there to sort of plug in, and you know, it helps you feel more engaged in the industry, particularly at a time when you're not at set or not auditioning so often.
Sure.
It's been busy with the voiceovers. Had some big jobs. It's been busy. Well, when I say auditioning, it was great last week to be in the room for real, auditioning rather than self-tapes.
Oh, nice.
And then this week, I put my hand up through the online platform. This is where, on StarNow in Australia, this is where, you know, some of the jobs that come through, rarely are they quite big, but most of the time it's the sort of stuff that goes below the radar of the agent.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes it can be quite rewarding. Sometimes it can be for me to get more experience presenting to camera or reading an auto cue or whatever it might be.
Stuff.
Yeah, or to build up a showreel of corporate work and help get more work.
Yeah.
So it's certainly relevant, and it's certainly look, I've made a lot of money out of StarNow, I have to say. It's been quite good for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And anyway, look, this opportunity came up. It was a half-day shoot, corporate job. It did look small, and what I mean by small is you haven't got a production company there to do the content. Like I'm shortlisted for one on Wednesday. It's a full-day shoot with a production company presenting to camera with auto cue. Like that's my bread and butter. That's my safe zone. I feel so comfortable doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, they know what they're doing with the speed of the auto cue, the different shot lists they've got for the day, the B-roll stuff they need to capture, like just, you know, how to capture the sound. Like all the little bits just fall into place. Everyone's got a job to do. You step in and start reading. Way to go.
Sure.
And you just know, and it's, you know, and certainly more money and it's a full day and the rest of it. But when it's smaller, you generally have got them. And when I say them, like the people, like in this case, it was the HR department, because they're putting together, it was 2 scenarios. One, the bad scenario, where I played the customer and someone else played the rep. Anthea was the actress. She played the rep. And it was, I'm more relaxed and she's more relaxed. And I'll just mention the new stuff we've got to sell. And you said no. And I tried, you know, and then out the door. And then the second scenario, I'm the professional rep trying to do everything right, negotiating the right way, using all the buzzwords, etc. 11 pages of script with all their specific terms. I know, I just had a micro sleep myself. But but I'm not going to name the company or the category even. But look, they've certainly got some upside to deliver if it comes to the, you know, the bad versus the good. If they get closer to the good, there's money to be made. So look, you know, and they thought 3 hours. I'm like, and it was a fixed rate for an hour, and I'm like, once they started to explain to me how they were going to film it, I sort of thought to myself, maybe I'll just politely move on it and not take it up. And then, because I knew basically you've got the HR director, the HR manager, and the junior, the L&D person who's learning and development, and normally films this with actual salespeople who don't know how to read the auto cue and the rest of it. and it looks looks like it. You can imagine, it's a bit sort of fixed, and you can see them reading and everything, and it's not as natural and relatable. So they thought, because she's done a film course back in the day, she'll take it on board, recording the sound, presenting the audio cues, and filming and everything else. And look at that, fine. But then I just like, maybe not. But then the MD, one of the directors, and the HR manager, like I knew them and they knew me from my old corporate job.
Yeah, right.
From my old corporate life, which still haunts me. And so I'm like, oh, okay.
Every time I go to the supermarket and get some Arnott's,
I know. I've got flashbacks. It's triggering. It's triggering. I'm 3. No, go now. I'm 3. But then I've worked for Ferrero and chocolates. I've got to go down the chocolate aisle. I can't help it. Had great experiences at Arnott's. Great experience at Ferrero. Cerebos was character building. That's like coffee and tomato sauce and stuff. I don't go down those aisles anyway.
Wow, those are two odd combinations.
And Kellogg's was the worst.
Really?
Kellogg's was the worst. 5 years, promoted every other year, pay rise every year, bonuses and that. But oh my gosh, at the end, I'm like, run. And
just bad
work. It helped me to make the decision to get back into acting.
Yeah, right. Well, that's good. There we go. It's a blessing in
So
disguise.
I don't go down the cereal aisle, but I don't think anyone should eat that sugar and salt and anyway. But
was it just the work, the
culture, just everything, just everything.
Yeah, right. Well, I actually have a similar story to kind of like, well, maybe I should just leave this audition.
Have a think about it while I tell you what happened yesterday.
Okay, go on.
Because I'm like, okay, well, I'll do it now. Oh, so-and-so's there and such and such. Yeah. I remember them. Yep. No worries. Okay, well, I'm in, right?
Yeah.
So I turn up and I get an email middle of the night, literally 11:30 p.m. And this is why I don't miss corporate. It's okay if you're late tomorrow because I'm just the first hour is just setting up and you guys are reading through and the weather and everything because the weather's going to be crap. But me being me, I'm there 50 minutes early having a coffee across the road, just chilling, and walked in and vibes as I'm walking through a corporate office,
Oh, no.
I know, it's flashbacks. Triggering again. Beautiful office, great view of the harbour. It's this beautiful new energy efficient building. And it's all about hot desking. Even the MD doesn't have an office.
Okay.
Of course, there's only 2 people in it because of the plague. They're all working from home. They literally moved into this new building in November, and then in January,
had to move back out. Yeah.
So they've got this great real estate, but it's grey on grey on grey. It's so depressing. And the view because of the weather.
That's why I really like, because when I was had that day with Finch company where I had to deliver some stuff to their corporate clients for the year, like deliver Christmas presents and whatnot.
That's right.
I walked into so many cool, hip kind of like if it was like a media company, which most of them were media companies, bunch of like mid-20-year-olds. There's neon signs everywhere.
It looks really cool.
Bright. There's a pool table.
It's like everyone just plays games and like there's no KPIs and they just get paid and they just have fun.
Exactly.
But it's not.
No. But it's like in the films where you walk into one of those like the internship or the intern with Anne Hathaway and stuff. You have all those places and they're just playing ping pong and like we're earning money. But
This is how we do it. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah. But also I had a experience where so I applied for something through StarNow and they did say that they were, I'm not going to say who they are obviously, but they did say that they were an amateur company, so maybe starting out, whatever.
Okay.
So once both Jess and I applied because they needed a
amateur
real couple.
Like production company or amateur business requiring.
I think production company.
Yeah. Okay.
But so both Jess and I applied because they needed a real couple. Anyway, they sent back an email to both of us, which was great. But what they wanted for the audition was to film for both of us separately. So different scenarios. They wanted specific locations with specific props, specific close-ups.
That's interesting.
And specific sort of cinematography.
This concerns me because maybe they would just want to take that film and use that.
I know. Plus another one with both of us in the scene, which means we'll need a volunteer cinematographer as well. And then also to see our previous work. And
anything else? Blood tests or
I know. And so I actually got quite angry at that. I know that maybe they're amateur, but I actually sent an email back, not passive, but I sent an email back
to my show reel.
Kind of saying like, you're requesting all this. I did want to say, we're not editors, we're not cinematographers, we're actors.
Yeah.
But I didn't. No. But I did say kind of like, this can come off as a bit unfair and a bit
like the time you're asking for and the work involved.
Exactly, and it feels a bit like you're exploiting the actor's ambition to get roles. And it's almost like, I didn't say this in the email,
unpaid,
but it's almost comparing. You can compare it to a theatre company that asks the actors to pay to be in it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just exploiting them for what they want, and I was quite disgusted by it, and I did. But I did try and talk back to them constructively back. I said, look, that's why generally, self-tape, it's one shot.
Yeah.
I realize there's not much dialogue in this particular short film, but there doesn't, there doesn't have to be.
Introduce yourself on the show reel,
and
or
I
whatever,
understand
and they know
that auditions can vary, but to ask an actor this without sufficient compensation, whether that be payment or guarantee of getting the role, it can be seen as unfair and a bit ridiculous. Something along those lines. Anyway, she sent back saying, look, we understand that, blah, 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 and you can... We'll be happy to, for the couple scene, for you guys to just send in previous work. These would be the scenes that we would ask you to do if you came in person. And I actually didn't email back because that's not the freaking point.
No, I know.
That's not the point. And also, if we were in person, you're not asking us to film it. That's the point.
I know.
So that was a bit odd,
strange.
and I really don't like that.
See, but with
because some actors won't, like people who aren't, haven't done a lot of experience, they'll do it, or they'll not ask for something. And
I
that's
think
the
it
thing.
happens
We're
with
not
everyone
there to do
an
it
extent.
for them.
No, it happens to everyone to an extent. You
doing their job for them.
Experience sort of helps to ascertain what roles to go for, what not to go for, and you sort of build up the radar.
But it seemed like a really cool film, but it's just there.
No,
it wasn't. You can't do that, and you can't ask someone to do that without many callbacks.
Because that's a lot of work that's unpaid. Even if you get the job.
But they're asking for close-ups and specific shots.
Of stuff and
they're asking for birds to arrive in one scene for the actress so then you can feed them. Needs close-ups. What the f*** are you meant to do that?
What?
How are you meant to do that?
Oh, my God.
Oh
my God.
I can't. Anyway, so that was great. But I had another shoot, the one I spoke about last week, for a motivational video. That was very fun.
Did you feel motivated?
I felt extremely motivated. No, so it was actually at Sydney Props. They hired a studio.
Again.
So that was funny.
You can't get away from that place.
I can't get away. But there was no one there that I knew. Like everyone was. There was just one guy that I hadn't met yet. But anyway, we went up and we did it, and I played twins.
That's right. Yeah.
And it was.
Did both of you go okay?
One of us was okay. But it was very cool, and it turned out really well. I'll send you the link so you can link it to our website.
I'll do it. I'll put it on Facebook for everyone to have a look and laugh.
But it's one of those. It's one of those. Almost like cringe motivational videos, you see all the time. It's like, but it is a good-ish. It's a good message. It's about a drunk, abusive father. Two sons grow up in the same environment, but they both split off. One goes down a darker path, the other one becomes successful.
Wow.
They're just saying no matter what, you can control what you do. So that was really cool, and I met a few cool people, and they get they get the same people back in now and then. And I was paid for it, and it was great. It was a lot of fun.
Perfect.
I pretended to break into cars. It was really cool. But I have another thing coming up. The guy messaged me and said, "I've shortlisted you from 1,000 applicants and stuff for this interview video sort of thing," because I was confused. I was like, so do I have the role, or do you need me to send a self-tape? And he said, no, you got the role and all this stuff. So I'm like, oh, cool. So that's coming up throughout this week and throughout the next few weeks. And he asked me how much I would like. And I said, listen,
I'd love $1 million.
I would like.
Let's start there.
It differs from how far I have to travel and also how long the shoot is.
Well,
so what are you willing to pay me?
And as a guide, fortunately, we have the MEAA, the union here in Australia, who publishes guides, whether it's voiceover rates or rates for actors, depending on what you're doing, and it also includes, for travel and the rest of it. I think it's a great starting point because it gives you an idea of what the average should be.
I generally just say like $800. No,
and it depends on the project too. Like I've let go ones where like they wanted me to narrate a dubbed character, to dub a character in English on a cartoon.
Oh, cool.
And the project fee was X, and I'm like, okay, that's great. Like it was pretty small, but it was okay for what they're asking. But then I'm like, well, I need to be paid X to have it on for X amount of time. So it's like, say $700 for 3 months, 6 months in this region. And then if they want to put it on again, they get paid again. So it's like a project rate, but also for when it's on when it's actually being screened and when it's being shown.
Yeah, exactly. Buyout isn't.
It's not.
Always great.
Sometimes there's some minimal rates, and then you look at the detail, and it's like, yeah, we're full buyout. We're going to own it, and we're going to use it on social media to advertise our business, and and they can do it forever.
Yeah.
For that one rate, that's it's cheeky.
Yeah, it's a bit cheeky.
And sometimes, like the Wednesday one that I've got on the cards for this Wednesday, the large corporate shoot. They said, this is the rate. It was generous. It was fine. It was okay. That's the rate. Full day, whatever. And I said, okay, so this is for them to advertise and use internally for 12 months included in that rate. And they're like, yeah, great. So I've got it in writing. It's for 12 months because they didn't have that.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
Yeah, have it in writing.
Because I've done that before, and it's fine if you ask it. They'll ask the client, and absolutely. And then there you go. And then you're invoicing every 12 months or 6 months or 3 months, depending on the agreement.
Yeah, exactly.
You just can't forget these things because while you're the face of a website that sells financial products, it's going to make it difficult for you to go and audition and get financial products. And we're talking quite a broad category here to get those gigs.
Yeah.
So, it's quite important to remember when it comes to full buyout. Look, if they're using it internally only and that sort of stuff, like it's different.
That's different, yeah.
But it's something to be mindful of. Because sometimes the upfront money looks great, and certainly who doesn't need it as an actor, but you might be allowing them to use your likeness forever on whatever they want.
Yeah.
Something to consider. So anyway, to take you back to yesterday's character building day.
Yes.
I got to test all of my patience and I got to test all of my diplomacy skills. I was fully acting there. But look, what happened was we introduced each other. We all sat down, and then I quickly realised this is going to be interesting. So first set up, we're in the room, we're about to go action, and then the automatic blinds come down.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's an environmental friendly building, automatically these huge blinds that are in between two panes of glass just come up and down at great noise whenever the temperature changes slightly.
What the hell?
So already I'm over this environmentally friendly building. I'm talking to a friend yesterday who works in one of those buildings. It's like the bane of their existence is these freaking noisy automatic blinds. So I'm like, okay, and you think, okay, so what? But like we end up filming a scene with the blinds down, then the blinds come up, and then we're waiting for them to come down again so we can get continuity because it's light and dark. And there's no lighting in the room, really.
Yeah, right.
There was one little LED light. We're like, well, we don't need this. I'm like, okay. And then we're wired up, so we had lapel mics. I had the script. We're talking 13 pages total of, corporate speak. Yeah. And I'm not going to be off book with 2 hours prep and 3 days. But absolutely as much as possible. Certainly the introduction where you're shaking hands and saying, whatever, and just understand the business. Go look at the website, look at the products. So it's a bit more intuitive to you, and you're not sort of going.
This is all for internal stuff.
Yeah. And so we're sitting opposite each other as you do with its customer and thing. And we're going to use two teleprompters. I'm like, what? So on my eye line, on Anthea's shoulder is my teleprompter. Her eye line above my right shoulder is her teleprompter, which we're talking two laptops. Goes to one, presses go, goes to another, presses go, and they're running at two different speeds. So I'm talking, and mine's going faster. So I'm talking, hello, she's talking, and it's like, don't look at your notes, don't look at your notes. I'm like, are you sure? Because I can cheat it. Like I can be, Mr. Max, the buyer, and I'm taking notes, and look at me, he's taking notes, nodding, but I've really just looked at the next line to remind me what I can do that sort of stuff. But they wanted to come in really super tight and didn't want me looking down at all. Yeah. So I'm basically the frozen customer looking straight ahead. It's like, it's fine, it's what you want. So don't look down. You can move your notes off so you're not looking down. Because I was looking down just because I'm writing notes. Yeah. I'm the character writing it. No, so I just basically move my folder, Yeah. I'm looking at the teleprompter, and then it started to get a bit more urgent as we get maybe 2.5 minutes in, where my line goes, and she's got a long list of stuff to talk about, and I'm watching my next line appear and disappear, and then line after that appear and disappear, because mine's going faster, and once you get further into it, the gap is getting bigger and bigger. And I'm doing all right. I got up to like 4 minutes, and I'm like, because I'm remembering what happened 2 lines ago. Yeah. And then because it throws you off, because I'm trying to be in the moment. And then I'm trying to remember, and I've got stuff that I remember, but then I'm reading off it's there in front of me, so I'm trying. And then I got to stage where I'm just silent and doing the nod. Yeah. As I'm waiting for the next line of mine, whatever is out of order to come up, and I just read that, and she's like, okay, we'll stop there. Okay, well, we'll just adjust the teleprompter, and it got to the stage where after 2 runs, she got the handy to have the director of HR nearby. She's walked in now. She's operating the auto cue for the first time ever. It's basically she's adjusting the speed, arrow up, arrow down, while I'm reading it versus Anthea reading off my shoulder. I said, you could just do my close up and I just read off one auto cue, and then Anthea just reads notes to keep up. And no, we're going to use two. Okay, yep, that's okay.
Yeah, why did
that's fine. No,
why did they need hers if the camera wasn't on?
That's fine. That's okay. That's okay. That's what we'll do. No, it's fine.
This is HR, isn't it?
So I'm like, that's fine. So I'm like, we'll do that. Maxie, shut the up. That's what I learned. So there's one person and they're in control, and then I'm. So the next one comes across, and it's actually easier, but like it was a scenario that ran for like 12 minutes. Like the second one, it was massive. So I'm ready to be natural. It worked okay. And then the HR director leaves and it's just get a few bits and pieces. And then she's like, "Oh, your top of your microphone's on the floor," to Anthea. She's looking on the floor, and sure enough, there's it's the windsock. You know the wind deflector on the top of microphones.
So just not the whole microphone, just the wind.
Because we put on the little lapels and then oh, and Max, yours is on the floor too. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'll just pick it up and put it back on. And she's like, I have to check the sound. I'm thinking to myself, oh, for God's sake.
And this is after doing...
Because I'm sitting, I'm not moving like a lot, but it might pick up a bit of the ruffling.
Yeah.
So I'm listening, and actually the sound sounds okay. And sure enough, Maxie says, oh, the sound sounds okay. No, it's not. We're going to have to do it again. Like, okay, yep, okay. Maxie's reminded to shut the up. Okay? I know you're trying to be helpful. I know it comes from a positive place, but stop talking.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, yep, no worries. We'll do it again. And
this is after one take? Like you've done 12
no, there's several. This is the third hour. And so hour 3 comes around and we've got to do that whole 30-minute thing again with multiple... First of all, tried with just her because the director was busy. And that was quite interesting.
Why didn't they have a production team?
Well, there was money, isn't it? So they're like,
I could do it.
I did a film school, so I'll just do this. I'm going to save some money. So literally, that's what I said. Anyway, so... Then what happened, I'm telling the story about how on set once out loud so everyone can hear, because we're not supposed to be fiddling with the equipment, about how I explained how on set there was 6 of us mic'd up and one of them after cut, and it was a wrap, just pulled the mic off. And, the lapels stuck to you, sometimes sticky tape, all sorts of things that could hurt you anyway, but it was stuck to the clothing, and so to pull the wires come out, the mic still touched the clothing. And the look on the soundie's face, just like you could see the colour drain. Because they've got more stuff to do that day. That they're moving on.
Yeah.
And that's not cheap. And now they're going to have to put it together because I need the 6 mics. And I'm just watching all this and thinking all that in a second going, don't make eye contact, just let them deal with this. Just walked away and heard them counsel the actor on, that's okay, we'll take the equipment, it's our equipment, and we're happy to, I'm just like, oh my God, seriously. So I'm telling this story and I'm being like, oh, Happy Max is telling the story so everyone can understand that we're not supposed to be looking at the windsocks and touching the equipment and all sort of stuff. I'm like, it wasn't on our minds. Like you clipped it in and it was done. And we were wired to the desk because it was to a phone that was recording the sound.
Yeah.
And so you got the adapter and the 2 lapel mics, long wires.
Oh my God, I wish I was a fly on the wall. Jeez,
mate, that would have been amazing. It was like The Office and Fawlty Towers. And then I literally, I'm telling myself every time I step from the desk, I'm tethered to the desk. I can't, because I'm thinking, we're going to ruin
the mic out, yeah.
Exactly. So here I am being a good mic boy for all the soundies out there. And no, it's like, oh, you guys have got to make sure that you keep those on. You got to make sure you keep those on, okay? I'm like, yep, okay, Maxie's been schooled. I'm like, I was about to say something. I'm like, don't say it.
What? Tell me
now.
Reveal.
I was about to say, it's not really our, we're trying to do a certain thing and it's not looking at the lapels and keep checking them. Sometimes, how it drops.
I get to a point.
And you're about to walk on set and it drops and you say to the sound, look, can I have a bit more gaffer tape or something? Yeah. You're conscious of it, right?
Yeah.
And should I turn it on or is the battery, do you want to turn it off while we have lunch just to save battery? You're aware.
Yeah,
you're aware.
That shouldn't be your job though.
But seriously, she's paying me out about not...
To a point on set, just a quick tangent, I get to a point on set where I will actually explicitly be aggressive because it's a point where it affects me then.
Yeah.
Everyone's time on set, but also my time on set, and it's just going too far, and I just like, look, it's not my job to do that. I'm trying to concentrate on this. I will say it.
You hear these stories and you're like, oh, I don't want to be that guy. You know, it's not my job. I don't want to do it. But like, shit, it's expensive on set.
Yeah.
You
but
know?
like Not Today, I was being slapped. Like we did several takes of actually being slapped.
Now that I don't.
It's stunt work. It's
especially
okay.
But even then, you don't hit the person.
Yeah, true.
You're only supposed to get like a foot close.
I was happy with it. I was happy with it, but it got to a point where it got to a point where he fucked up his lines multiple times, and that's why we were doing several takes. And it got to a point where it did start to get frustrating because I'm being slapped in the face. And so I was like, no, so
clearly you're not dealing with a professional, right? He doesn't know the
takes.
lines. He turns up on set, doesn't know the lines, and he starts hitting you for real.
Yeah, and I'm like, no more. Like,
how many red flags?
No more. Like, that's it. Like, don't actually slap me if we're going to do another take.
Oh,
like I said
my God.
So it was
ridiculous. It's not cool. But like this lasted 5 hours. So
anyway,
I'm like, okay, Max, be quiet. Don't say. And then I said the story just genially to the other co-star. You know, just having a little chat. Like, this is what happened. Blah blah. I know not to touch stuff that's too expensive. And you know, and then we're ready to go again, and then it's okay. We've got to call in the director again to play with the teleprompters, and it's difficult because they're reading at different paces.
Who said that? The director.
The director of the HR. Guru. So I'm like, we're reading at different paces because the teleprompters are moving at different speeds. But I didn't say it. Do you know how hard it was?
Why not? What were they going to do?
Because clearly I've been schooled several times.
Oh, no.
Max, shut up.
You got to get up above them in aggressiveness.
Okay, we can do this. We just plow on, and I'm watching the time tick by, and I had a 1 o'clock appointment just a couple of suburbs away, and I'm watching that come and go, and I'm like, I'm just like, we can do this. It's okay. So, and then I walked out and I invoiced them that afternoon. Like, to their credit, they paid it last night. It's paid already.
Nice.
And so really efficient, loved it. Happy to work with us in the future, blah, blah, blah. But like, I guess it's a cautionary tale for those who look at these jobs and go, look, I need the money. It's a couple $100, should be right. But there's so much more to it. And to be in that world, like I made it, but it was like walking on broken glass to get there. To be able to look like this sales guy who's really professional, then getting a bit nervous, then getting a bit closed, then he's going to lose his sale, and then he goes in a bit harder, and like I'm trying to be that character in amongst the circus. It's
you look like an angry one. You look like you had a shitty day one. Yeah.
I feel like I should. When I left, I'm like, I feel so invested in this contract. Like I should be told if we get it or not.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was character building, but it's like, this is what happens when I say smaller job, I mean you're dealing direct and you don't have a production company.
Right.
And I've worked on small crews. I worked on small crews before on corporate gigs where it is 2 people. One
probably be better
generally,
that way.
generally one sound and the other one sort of directing and operating the camera.
Yeah,
because the sound is just so and they're organising lighting between them and that.
Sure.
Or it could be 3 to 5, whatever. But then some great soundstage moments with the professional crew, and we're doing it for a day, and it's going to look the way it looks, and it makes it easier for you to do your job, because you can just focus on what you got to do.
Yeah, sure.
As opposed to, is that effing blind coming down again? Like, really? Should I keep going? They haven't said cut. What am I going to do? So anyway, I felt like I should come home and have a glass of scotch, but I was a good boy.
And I had 2.
Oh, wow. So anyway, that's my... So next week looks better.
Yes, let's hope so.
And the voiceover jobs are great. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
The new website's up and running.
It looks good.
I'm talking to potential interviewees to come on the show. Booked some already. So like, there's more great things happening for Two Unemployed Actors.
Listen in for Two Unemployed Actors to find out who they are.
Indeed.
It's going to be exciting.
Not Fred, because although he's the producer, he doesn't like to talk on mic.
No.
As we know.
Look, he's not a very chatty dude.
No, he's not. But anyway, so that's us for this week. So learn from our experience. It saves you the pain and suffering.
Just listen to us and you'll... Exactly.
So
it may be painful to listen to us, but it's less painful
to be in the room.
Yep, you'll learn.
That's not going to make the next promo. It's painful to listen to us. We apologise, but hey, stick around.
Listen, we're a podcast.
There are some good bits.
Yep.
I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
Thanks for listening to us again. We can do that again. I don't know what happened then. Don't look at me, Fred. I'm okay.
He's making sure. He's a producer.
He's a good boy. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
We're Two Unemployed Actors.
Yes,
Thanks
we
for
are.
listening to us again. Another great show down. Don't forget to subscribe and like on all the socials and favourite podcast platforms.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Two unemployed actors.